We all knew what the strategy for Joe Biden was going to be. Obviously, any of his shortcomings were going to fall right squarely in the lap of Trump. But saying that the border mess is Trump's problem is absurd. There's no other way to put it. Trump was incredibly hard on immigration, and it was to the benefit of the United States people. Obviously, border crossings slowed to about 800 people per week, which is still seems like a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, I said per week, I meant per day, which again doesn't necessarily sound like such a great thing, but at the same time, it has skyrocketed. Absolutely skyrocketed. And we got a small sample size, obviously, but at the rate that they're going, I don't know how you can heap this one on Trump, but clearly it's a strategy that everybody's seen was going to be implemented as soon as the opportunity for it was presented, because it worked so well for Barry Obama. Because I got an article here from June of 2012 where there were 3.5 years of opportunity for Barack Obama and Joe Biden to revive the economy, to create more jobs. Oh, we're coming out of the Great Recession, and we were left this by George W. Bush, and none of this is my fault because I am kept in such a bubble that I will not have to take any criticism from the press. There will be no further questions. But yeah, we'll just read a little bit of this because, well, it sets up everything that Chuck Schumer's claiming, and we'd ask for a statement from Joe Biden, but he's yet to provide any. I hear he's supposed to be having a speech tonight, but I don't know. He's yet to hold a press conference yet, and nothing's on the books. But Jen Psaki said by the end of the month you should expect something. Otherwise, you'll have to circle back around and say something about Easter, or May long weekend, or Independence Day. Who knows how long they're going to be able to keep this charade up. But anyways, President Obama has been on the job for nearly 3.5 years. But the White House says bad news on jobs is George W. Bush's fault. Time to own up to your own record, Mr. President. Keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Is the most tepid job growth seen in America in a year, with fewer than 70,000 jobs added for May. Wow, we were looking at those numbers, and that was month over month coming out of all of the lockdowns from the COVID pandemic the first time around, from the summer into the fall. That's what monthly averages were looking like, and that's over an entire year. Less than half what economists expected. Yes, because remember, back then, I'll take you back a little bit, that was because more people are coming out of the workforce, and we're never going to get those numbers back. Then why did they skyrocket as soon as you started to give people tax breaks and incentivize work instead of incentivizing welfare? It's weird, right? It's weird. On top of that, March and April's combined job growth was revised downward by almost 50,000. The unemployment rate is again going in the wrong direction from April's 8.1% to 8.2% in May. That was 3.5 years into Barack Obama's first term. Okay? If he wasn't black, he would have had a much tougher time winning re-election. But because the media was in his pocket, because those guilty liberals out there will vote blue no matter who, and they were especially going to be voting for a black man, he was not held to account for the fact that he didn't have a pandemic at the time. There was nothing artificially locking down the economy. No, this was him and Joe Biden's doing. But still, it was Bush's fault. 3.5 years later. A little tough of a pill to take, but that's a line of shit we were fed, and it continued on all the way up until Barry handed over the keys of the castle, and then he started taking credit for all the Trump successes with the economy. Now that's what we're getting here, because, okay, eventually the economy is going to have to turn around, unless the Great Reset is a thing and it's going to be successful. It's a thing, all right? It's a legitimate strategy that is set out by the World Economic Forum. If it gets implemented is a different thing. And by continuing to spend, it says it right there, $1.9 trillion on a spending package that is stuffed to the brim with absolute garbage, is going to be tough to pull out. And that Great Reset's looking more and more likely. But let's just say if the economy does turn around, it won't be because Trump laid the foundation. No. You'd be asking a Democrat to be consistent. That can't be the case. Obviously, it'll be all of Joe Biden's tact and acumen that turned everything around, like how he was able to do anything from 76 up until 2008 when he was in the Senate and passed such great things like the 1994 crime bill and literally nothing else. Honestly, the guy is the most useless politician that has been around for that length of time. Like, at least Patrick Leahy has found himself in a couple of Batman films. Like, at least he's more culturally relevant. But no, everything bad that's going to happen is because Trump bad, right? Obviously. And any of these successes are going to be because Joe Biden is such a wise scholar. That's the media's narrative. That's not my narrative, obviously. I'd give him praise if he does something good, but I've yet to see anything tangible come out of the White House in the past month and a half. Well, I guess 2 months now. Just about 2 months. But yeah, back to this. Is Schumer blaming Trump for what's going on at the border? Olympic-level mental gymnastics are required for this one. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Thursday on ABC's The View with Meghan McCain in a trash bag. Like, we get it. You don't want to exercise. You don't want to train your arms. So you just throw on a hefty bag costume. I get it. I understand. Times are tough. You probably still locked down in California or wherever you are. Not in Arizona, just like your father. That Joe Biden inherited a mess at the U.S.-Mexico border from former President Donald Trump. Why were the construction men a little bit messy when it came to building that border wall? So you just decided to clean everything up there? Is that why people keep pouring in at a record rate? I don't know. Co-host Meghan McCain said, "You are a vocal critic of Trump's immigration policy of separating the children from their families at the border. You called it cruel and inhumane and, quote, so unlike the America we have known. It happened under Obama, and the kids are still being detained under President Biden." And as Press Secretary Jen Psaki admitted that they have to get their act together with their border policy. Why haven't you been critical of Biden as you were of President Trump? And for Republicans like me, Press X to doubt, that are confused that this is still going on and these seems to be a different media narrative, can you bring some clarity? Well, if your father was doing his job in the Senate, as you are so apt to bring up his name at every chance you get, he was a senator from Arizona, where border security is, if it's not consistently at the top of the ballot, it is number 2. And your old man would continue to play the border hawk card until he was elected, and then he would just flip reverse. And remember, John McCain's final act as a U.S. senator, as that brain tumor was on life support, he voted to uphold Obamacare. Bag of shit. Cocksucker. But let's see what old crying Chuck had to say. Let me just say this. Joe Biden inherited a huge mess on immigration, and it's not going to be cleaned up in a month. Well, you're just about it too there, pal. He's only been in office since, January 20th. We get it. About 6 weeks. And what did he do? Immediately nerf the immigration policy by requesting 100 days worth of no deportations, start the path to amnesty for 11 million people already here. That was all Trump's doing, right? No, all those executive orders were signed on the 20th of January. Okay, right. How are you going to spin this? His view of immigration is not like Donald Trump's. That we agree on, Chuck. Who was nasty, negative, horrible to immigrants. Why? By doing the exact same stuff that you're doing, keeping them at the border, but at the same time, you also aren't charging them with anything and then just letting them loose into the country. Trump stopped that. Biden put that back in. That's catch and release. His view is more like your father's view. Nope. Father's view and my view, which is compassionate, but also at present time competent. Nope. He added, one of the problems with the Trump administration is they had such incompetence. Well, Chuck, you were in the Senate. Why didn't you do anything about it? They were rolling up their sleeves and working on this. And I think it will get better in the next few months. If it doesn't, so you're admitting that there is a problem. Oh, okay. If it doesn't, I will go to them and say, you've got to do better. Oh, tough talk, Chuck. Tough talk. I will be public. No, you won't. But I've got to give them a little bit of a chance because they inherited a big mess created by Donald Trump. That's president, asshole. Whose views on immigrants it just turned me off. So this is from the same guy who said that Trump incited the erection, so I gotta press X to doubt on that one. To be so nasty to these people and to separate the children from their parents and not care about it. Whoa. Who built the cages, Chuck? Whoa. Who instituted the policy that actually separated the kids from their parents, i.e. coyotes at the border? Whoa. So what's the mess that they're referencing? Well, 64,000 migrants apprehended in Texas, okay? Border sectors, up 27% from January. That right there is all Biden's doing. Those are the executive orders that he has passed. That is the result of those. All of the talk leading up from the time that he started talking from his president-elect podium all the way until inauguration. When did the caravans start? When did they start climbing through Central America? That is directly Joe Biden's problem, okay? Just a quick read through this one. Border Patrol agents assigned to the 5 Texas-based sectors apprehended nearly 64,000 migrants in February. This represents an increase of more than 27% from previous month. Agents assigned to the Rio Grande Valley, Laredo, Del Rio, Big Bend, and El Paso sectors apprehended 63,734 migrants in February, according to the Southwest Border Land Encounters report released by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials on Wednesday. This represents an increase of 13,619 migrants over the January report. The El Paso sector includes apprehensions in New Mexico. So, a little bit of New Mexico, and most of the western and central border in Texas. That's it. Doesn't account for Arizona, doesn't account for the small peninsula that attaches to California, doesn't account for East Texas. So, there we go. That's just a small little summary of the disaster that's going on there. But they'll blame Trump for this, for something he was very good on. Obviously, it's up 27%. And a little less than a third of that time was also under Biden's control after he passed those initial executive orders. So yes, they'll blame Trump for this because obviously it was his fault. But then they'll take credit for the vaccine, okay? Why? Because Trump developed it. And they're rolling it out now, even though they're following the exact same plan that Trump and his team is using. Hell, they're even using the same top doctor that he was using. But Trump, of course, has to hit back because Trump's going to Trump, obviously. Even if he doesn't have Twitter, he's still putting out, now he is at least, putting out little snarky statements from his office as a former president, a little bite-sized, about 1 paragraphs, and they just shit on people from Karl Rove to Marco Rubio. We had one yesterday endorsing Herschel Walker, sort of, if he were to run. And they're funny, right? And this one, too. Trump says U.S. probably would never have COVID-19 vaccine if he wasn't president. Yes, okay? I have my opinions, obviously. I share them. If you think that you require a vaccine, please get in line. And when your time to get it comes, feel free to get it. That's you. Do you. But you'd have to think, if no other president, if no other elected official would have allowed for the red tape to be cut as effectively as Trump has, if right to try wasn't a thing under Operation Warp Speed, it would not have happened. We still would be without a vaccine. And I'm not saying something else that shouldn't be going on right now. I'm not too sure if it is. I'm sure that it might be. Testing and refining of the vaccine should also be happening right now. Just because you are able to skip some needless bureaucratic steps doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You should be making it better right now to make it more. This is the only time that I'll be using the term inclusive, so you can catch all the different strains if it turns out that one of those is not going to be effectively vaccinated from the vaccine. They need to continue to make it better. But yes, I believe him to be true when he says that, it wouldn't be around yet because what was everybody's projections, okay? Maybe the spring, maybe the summer. What was her name? Kristen Welker, during the final presidential debate, was quoting the specialists saying that it wouldn't be out by the end of the year in 2020. Maybe the summer, maybe the fall of 2021. Well, it's probably when everybody's going to be vaccinated by. And that would be if Biden's team completely bungles everything up. But we'll get into Trump's response. Former President Donald Trump on Wednesday said that if not for him, Americans would likely never receive the COVID-19 vaccine. I hope everyone remembers when they were getting their COVID-19 vaccine, often referred to as the China virus, often referred to by me, that if I wasn't president, or wouldn't be getting the beautiful shot for 5 years at best, and probably wouldn't be getting it at all. I hope everybody remembers. That's it. That's all he said. 2 things. Often referred to as the China virus and the beautiful shot. Oh, he's the best. Senior advisor to President Biden's coronavirus response team on Wednesday said that 1 in 4 adults in the United States have now received their first shot of the vaccine. And then in 2 weeks' time, you get your second shot. And then within 2 weeks after that, your life can return to normal. As we seen with yesterday's CDC numbers, straight off their website, their reports. Trump, who was permanently banned from Twitter following the deadly January 6th Capitol riot, has resorted to emailing statements that are reminiscent of his old tweets. Now they are. They used to be long soliloquies, probably drafted by the cabal of halfway incompetent people that he's currently surrounded himself with. Okay, he's got a few good advisors and some that knock up strippers. Hey, sometimes the truth hurts. But then there's a reason that I brought up that these big pharma corporations, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson now, Pfizer, they should be refining their vaccines to make them as safe and effective as possible, because then you have this story, which is touchy, and it's tough. Utah woman Cassidy, hopefully her middle name's not Kathleen Curl, dies 4 days after second dose of Moderna vaccine. 39-year-old single mom in Utah with no underlying medical conditions died 4 days after receiving her second dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, according to a report. Cassidy Curl, a mother of one from Ogden, received the vaccine due to her work as a surgical tech for several plastic surgeons. Not only do I work here, I'm a client. She was absolutely fine with getting it. In fact, she told us, "It's fine. You guys should all get it," her father, Alfred Hawley, told the outlet. Ugh. This is kind of a sad story, but at the same time, she's an evangelical vaccine spreader with significant baggage. So if I was calling for consistency at the beginning of this video, I've got to be consistent to my values as well. Curl experienced a sore arm after the first jab of Moderna, but had no other side effects. Okay, that was one of the many side effects that were reported from people under the age of 55 when we looked at, I believe that was the CDC's numbers as well. But obviously, I can remember the last time I either had like a tetanus shot or something, and yeah, okay, a little arm soreness because, being stabbed with a needle hurts sometimes, duh. But things took a tragic turn after she received her second dose on February 1st. This has been covered for a very long time. She came in early and said her heart was racing and she felt like she needed to get to the emergency room, Hawley said. And she arrived in the ER, Curl was throwing up. Hawley, a retired fighter pilot, told doctors his daughter had just received her second shot. They did a blood test and immediately came back and she was very, very sick. And her liver was not functioning. Ugh. Curl's older sister, Kristen, who lives in Arizona, said she knew her sister had gone to the hospital, but the speed at which she deteriorated was so unexpected. She thought her sister would get an IV and be back home in an hour, but Hawley knew that they were not going home anytime soon. I was in total shock and I was afraid to tell my wife. I think you got to tell a lady's mom, geez. Curl was soon flown to Intermountain Medical Center in Murray, a trauma center, as her liver was failing and a transplant was believed to be her best chance at survival. There's got to be something else on this one, because this seems extreme. Somebody was allergic to something. An autopsy was performed on Curl's body, but the state medical examiner's office could not comment on the case due to privacy laws, according to KUTV. Dr. Eric Christensen, Utah's chief medical examiner, told the station that providing the vaccine injury as a cause of death almost never happens. Did the vaccine cause this? I think that would be very hard to demonstrate an autopsy. An autopsy also could identify a cause of death the family was unaware of, including undiagnosed pneumonia, cancer, or unknown heart condition. Yeah. As much as I would like to blame this exclusively on the vaccine, there just has to be something underlying this. So don't get taken by the headline, okay? But at the same time, you got to be wary of stuff that gets rushed through, okay? But I'm telling you to do your research and, check your ideological consistencies. If you think that, just baseless accusations come out, or even just accusations, okay? You just read the headline and you just go off of that. You're not doing yourself a great service. But I do that on the regular. Twitter, on the other hand, just wants you to take this down wholesale, because what they're doing here, breaking 911, Utah mother with no known health problems dies 4 days after taking the second dose of COVID vaccine. And they're going to fact check this. This tweet is misleading. What, did she not die? Is she in fact listening to new Tupac records and smoking dope with her friends while her kid grows up without a mother? Is this what we're assuming? Find out why health officials consider COVID-19 vaccines safe for most people. Oh, okay. Yep. So they go ahead and agree with the popular consensus that it is safe for most people. Like, I'm thinking, she's probably allergic to something. She probably did have some underlying health condition, because this is the most extreme case of a reaction to the vaccine that I've seen so far. And that's not me just walking the YouTube line. I'm just thinking that this is probably just a tip of the iceberg and not the entire story. So this whole situation just sucks. But for people just blindly praising Trump for creating the vaccine, and then Big Pharma not refining it to make sure that people are going to be safe when they take it, even though that seems to be pretty much the case. Like, obviously the most extreme case right here. There are little side effects, but that comes with every type of vaccine, right? It's a little early, but I don't think anybody's coming out with autism yet, so that's a win. But the bigger story of this is Trump's going to get blamed for everything, regardless if it is something that he did in the past or somebody else's failures in the near future. But the media is going to run that horse right into the ground as soon as humanly possible, so they'll be trying to put it in the stable long after it's dead. And the best way to combat that is to just know the information. Go a little bit deeper than the headlines, because it's amazing the information that they do report, but it's like 3/4 of the way down the article. And with that said, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.